Hey Dump, this is Dave Desai. Today I want to get into JHope and his solo and album and why people seem to be saying that JHope is being mistreated. I also want to get into V doing his own thing and what happened there. So hater or not, make sure you subscribe with the notification bell on. Grab your dumpling on spilling my merch and let's get into it. It was announced after RM allegedly said hiatus what the plans were for the individual members. Some of the members seemed to be very burnt out and decided to go ahead and take a bit of a vacation. I can't even imagine how burnt out they feel. The industry is tough on its own because some of the fun parts of the job, like maybe performing, would be something that is only a small part of the actual work. If you don't enjoy the song creation process but just enjoy performing, then 90% of the work you won't actually enjoy it. So I can only imagine if the boys prefer performing and meeting ARMY, then they could feel burnt out when they realize that most of the work they were doing during the height of the pandemic was not actually work that they fully enjoyed. And if the boys enjoy traveling, who doesn't, they obviously could not do that. So it could end up feeling for them that everything they do doesn't really have a purpose or a fun part, just the theory. And that is what being burnt out is. When you feel like your work is not fun anymore, or you start to feel like it's pointless and you become tired and depressed. RM spoke about not knowing what direction to take, and this was a pretty obvious sign of being burnt out. And this was ongoing for a while with them, so you can only imagine how they felt. There's also recently been a very cool announcement of V pursuing some solo work. He was obviously in Paris just visiting me, that's all. Kidding, but while he wasn't formally a model that was walking on the runway, he was definitely still treated as a model with his beautiful outfit. And the fact that he was actually being more photographed than the models on the runway. He announced that he was going to be filming In the Soup with the Wooga Squad. This is his actor friends, and In the Soup is a series that BTS has done, 17 I believe has done, and now the entire new Wooga Squad. I have reacted to the entire 2 seasons of BTS In the Soup on my Patreon, and will definitely be reacting to the In the Soup with V. So if you want to join me, head over to my Patreon, I will link it below. But if you're unfamiliar, what on earth is a soup and why are they in it? Soup means forest in Korean and has just become a name where it's not just limited to BTS, but any artist under Big Hit or whoever owns the name can come together and relax in the forest. These episodes are not for your everyday viewers, only special viewers like you and I. And if you're not someone who is a fan of the artist on the show, or what the fandom calls locals, I can't really see that you'd enjoy the show or that much or care. It's very, very chill. You watch your favorite artists build fires or camp or just eat, and it's very cute because you feel like you're camping with them. But if you don't know these people, then why would you care to hang out with them, right? We can only hang out in this way with them for now due to COVID, and COVID is the only reason, not because we're not dating. But this new Wooga Squad In the Soup version will be airing with a new additional company, which people were very excited about. The original In the Soup with just BTS aired on Korean TV network JTBC and Weverse. I think at the time they were trying really hard to get more people over to Weverse and get Weverse's name out there. They even included exclusive Weverse content that would not air on JTBC. So people who watched it on air would go over to Weverse to see more. But it was announced that In the Soup Wooga Squad seemingly won't air on Weverse, maybe because Weverse is a platform for mostly K-pop idols, not actors, but the episode will air on JTBC and Disney+. This is such a beautiful thing because not everyone has access to Weverse or can even easily use the site. It's very difficult to navigate in my opinion because it's mostly in Korean, and then you can't watch JTBC in America. Seeing V join Disney is very exciting. He has indirectly become a Disney star, a Disney prince. He will take over Disney. And I think this could be the first step in getting V's foot into the Disney world. He may even be able to meet some of the Disney staff, and maybe he could get an acting role on Disney where it's like a narrative rather than a reality show like In the Soup. This is all very exciting and fun news. It's also great to see what Mr. JHope has been up to since the release of his solo work or music video. There has definitely been a bit of controversy, but luckily it seemed like nothing affected his chart rankings or anything like that. He still ranked really high, and for the most part, I think a lot of people are enjoying the sound. And even those who don't are okay with still supporting and streaming the song. But aside from the music, people were upset about the specific rollout and promotion. And if you don't know what happened, HYBE is apparently working with ESG, as reported by Korean news site Naver. ESG is an eco-friendly green type of organization, and they help with being eco-friendly and raise awareness. There had previously been protests and a big conversation around K-pop and the wastefulness of their albums, saying it really impacts the environment by the amount of paper that is used for these K-pop albums. If you aren't aware, K-pop albums are not your typical American albums. American albums, it's very much just plastic and then the CD and then maybe a booklet, which means most American album sales are digital now, and there's no incentive to buy the physical one unless you want the plastic. But then K-pop albums are different because the charts and rankings are different. They still rely heavily on physical albums and sales still in order to rank high. So the industry does additional things to get K-pop fans to buy the album. So every album might come with a chance to win a concert ticket. Every album might come with a poster, one member's photo cards or a photo book, things like that. Now, Naver reported that JHope's album will not be physical. They are calling it a Weverse album. So you might get a QR code that you can scan, and I'm not entirely sure what you'll get, but I'm assuming you can unlock those photo cards from the QR code. And people were mad about this, saying that it might affect JHope's chart rankings, and this is improper management of the album and stuff like that. Also because physical albums often include photo cards and just one photo card. That encourages some people to buy multiple albums to collect the photo cards, which would help the chart rankings. So not having it would make JHope rank less, apparently, I don't know. Although I'm not entirely sure. Couldn't one QR code hold one photo card and they'd still have to buy multiple to collect them all? But maybe the outrage is over the fact that why would you buy multiple albums to get a virtual photo card? And the photos would probably be leaked or shared on social media anyway, so people can see the photo card without buying the album, so there just may be less incentive to buy. People think this would hurt JHope in the long run and would cause JHope to not rank as high, and people were furious at this. People were saying that HYBE allowed for physical albums for other groups, but didn't allow one for JHope. And then people were saying HYBE's management is hurting JHope by doing this. But I just want to reference something that was previously said by BTS themselves. Back when BTS was signing for another 7 years after their first contract had ended with HYBE, they went into meeting and were open about what they wanted out of the company. And the company obviously wanted to keep BTS. They were open and honest with the CEO about how much they, BTS, had contributed to HYBE, and they wanted to make sure all of that was reflected onto their new contract, i.e. probably things like them being able to make some of their own decisions and bigger revenue shares of their earnings. I believe it was the CEO who mentioned that when they all sat down to discuss this, there were no lawyers present. In Korean or Asian culture, it is definitely seen as less personable and close if you make deals with a lawyer there. Obviously, once the deal closed and they decided that they had to draft up contracts, they all probably did speak with their lawyers. But in the meeting, in which lawyers are usually present, they were not, which showed how close they all are with each other. Do you think a company who is this close with BTS is simply just going to do whatever they want without BTS having any say? BTS seemingly or probably wanted to renew because they felt like they could have more say in the company and get a way better deal now. This includes probably having more creative control over their work. This idea of no physical albums was probably mentioned to JHope, and he said, okay. BTS has been very open about this idea of being environmentally friendly, and it's so funny because if JHope went the route to release 500,000 pieces of paper per album, people would say he doesn't care about the environment. But now that he does a digital one, everyone says the company hates him and are asking JHope to leave to go to a new company or whatever these people keep protesting about. I also want to add that JHope or HYBE never explicitly said that they will have a physical album. You also can't just assume that they will have anything. Do I want a physical album? Sure. But an artist can go about a different direction, and we can't be mad about it. We cannot like it, but we then just move on and go stream something else. But a lot of people were mad and screaming that HYBE is mistreating JHope over a rollout that was never announced or confirmed. It was simply something someone just made up in their head. And then they got mad over the idea that that is not being fulfilled. What do you think of this? Is JHope being mistreated? Do you think he should leave HYBE? And what do you think about V on Disney Plus? Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. I think it's just a lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.